So this session is about personal mythology and dream mapping, and we'll just do a little preamble. We'll get this session is going to include two hypnotic inductions, one by Jonah to explore the kind of more somatic elements of dreaming and how you can bring movement and embodiment from dreams into your waking reality, and how that can kind of help strengthen the relationship between your dream world and the real world. Mine is going to be more about trying to explore and identify your own personal mythology, those symbols and motifs that recur, and setting an intention for what you might dream about this evening as well, actually, because setting an intention, having a kind of dreaming purpose and dreaming aim, I think can be really useful for remembering dreams. So you all know me already because you've met me on numerous occasions throughout the course of this. So I won't introduce myself, but Jonah, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Certainly, and thank you, Sarah. I'm Jonah Emerson-Bell. I'm an astrologer and tarot reader, and I'm also in a graduate program in Santa Fe, New Mexico for depth psychology to be a mental health counselor. And so some of my interests lie in the kind of Venn diagram of mental health and astrology, and using astrological techniques to help people unpack or decode kind of what's going on in their lives. And also I've begun looking at kind of ancient and older astrological protocols and magical techniques, and trying to blend that in with the work that I do or will do as a mental health counselor in the future. And so all of that is to say, using astrology as a way to access the unconscious, right? And to kind of hold a container for unconscious material and as a way of interpreting it. And yeah, so one of the things that I'm going to talk about today is an astrological technique for interpreting dreams, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of preempt that, I loved what you were saying to me earlier before we went live about looking at the dream when you do an astrological chart for a dream as it occurs, as the dream being its own independent entity, which I love because it relates very much to the talks we've had leading up to this about the perception of dreams in the ancient world and how they were often considered to be personified beings that had quite often nefarious roles in human behavior and could come upon people at night demonically. So I find this is something I'm really excited about. And as I was saying to you, I think it's a sort of novel and interesting take on the situation. And we were discussing that during our time in Athens, Jonah's going to work out when are going to be especially auspicious times to dream according to the astrology, and what we might expect perhaps archetypally from dreaming at particular times because of the arrangement of the planets. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. I like it adds an extra layer of ritual into the dreaming process. And I think that as soon as you start to invite ritual into dreaming, you very often find that dreams are revived by treating them with respect and giving them rituals. So that's something I'm also very interested in. So we're going to be talking about dream mapping as well as personal mythology. And I did mention just earlier before you came into the room that we're going to be doing some physical mapping out. We're going to be drawing. And this is a technique that I have used since I was little because ever since I can remember, I have entered particular dream realms, I suppose. And when I was really little, I wanted to draw my dreams, and I started to create kind of dream cartography based upon the places that I was visiting. And one thing that I found is that when I was occupying this dream realm, it seemed to me like the dream architecture, the dream geography, and the dream landscape are somehow encoding my personality and my soul into the physical architecture of the dream. And so this is something that, being lucid, you can really explore consciously. You can kind of break down and analyze why particular structures are existing, why, for example, there was always an underground pier in my dreams as a child, or there would be certain places that have mythological connotations or stories behind them. And I'm very interested in personal mythology. I did actually send this link to Stanley Krippner, who I've been in touch with previously about Dream Palace, and he's very interested in the project, but I don't know what time it is where he is. He's in California. But I was inspired about this idea of personal mythology through Stanley Krippner, because he took part in a conference that I went to probably about 25 years ago now, and he did this exercise with the audience whereby he got us into a meditative state and asked us to remember the earliest dream that we could ever remember as a child, like the most vivid dream that we could remember. And in the process of doing this, I identified what are my sort of symbols and motifs in dreams. And these things, once identified, can act as triggers for lucidity, and they enable you to engage with the dream world in more conscious ways, perhaps, because as soon as these motifs and symbols pop up, you are conscious of them, and that alerts you to the fact that you are dreaming, and you're therefore able to wake up in your dream. So that's something that we're going to explore today. And then Jonah's take on dream mapping is more embodied, if you want to discuss your embodied idea around dream mapping.
Yeah, so the way that I've been kind of thinking about this is, thinking about the above and the below, and the above being kind of the maybe external circumstances, the mundane activities that filter into the dream, right? This could also include the positions of the planets, and then the below, which is maybe the unconscious, right? And as well as the somatic and physical form. And one of my hypotheses is that the body is always connected to the dream, right? The body is always has one foot in the unconscious realm, right? And there's information from the unconscious and subconscious that we're receiving in the body that does not necessarily get processed by our mental faculties, right? Or the ways that we are able to process the unconscious messages that come in through the body is in dream life, right? Or in other ways when the conscious mind is not online in the same way. And so one of my beliefs is that the dreams like move through the body and are stored in the body, right? And so what is it like to bring awareness to where the dream lives in the body and how the body is connected in with the dream? And this makes me think about not just like the somatic sensations that we might be feeling in the body connected with dream imagery, but also like motions from the dream that we are experiencing in the dream realm, right? And how by replicating those motions, or whether it's like you were dreaming of swimming, and so what is it like to go through the motion of swimming as we are recalling the dream, and how does that activate some of the dream imagery or symbols or ideas or parts of the dream that might have been forgotten or faded away with the sun, right? And so thinking about the somatic action as a way of dream mapping, right? And not necessarily dream mapping as in like I'm telling the story or I'm writing it down, but I'm dream mapping as in I'm going through the literal motions of what it was like in my dream, whether it was walking or picking something up, right? And thinking about a dream map as a dance, right? And a string of somatic motions and physical activities that we can do to help us to tap back into the dream realm.
That's so interesting, Jonah, because one of the things that was brought up yesterday is my sort of personal intuition about a lot of ancient cultures from reading some of the texts and translations is that there doesn't appear to have been the same hierarchy of senses in the ancient world in quite a lot of different cultures. We've become essentially quite visually orientated, and there is a sort of hierarchical sense that sight is the primary sense. But for a lot of indigenous people that live in very sort of dense, biodiverse regions, they also have to rely more heavily perhaps on smell and hearing. But Kasha brought something up yesterday, and it makes me think that perhaps, you know, one of the ways that people remember dreams now is to write them down. If it's not a lucid dreams, generally speaking, because of the way that they are, usually are very easy to remember because they're engaging the same kind of brain regions that waking consciousness is engaging. But for a normal dream, you have to write it down. And I wonder whether in times where there were less literate people, that process had to be either spoken or acted out in some way. And there certainly seems to have been this dialogue between the dream world and the dreamer in the ancient world, whereby people made offerings so that they would have good dreams. There's a transactional nature between the dream world and our waking reality. So that's fascinating.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that idea of a transactional nature between the dream, right? And I think of, I have a very animist sensibility. And so I like to think of the dream not just as like, this is my thing, right? I like to think about dreams as independent entities, right? That have their own, you know, identity, they have their own agendas, right? And to really honor those entities or spirits, right? If that's, you know, or whatever, however you want to conceptualize it, through making offerings to them, right? By writing it down is a very simple way that we can honor that, like, hey, you were important to me. I acknowledge you. Thanks for showing up. I'm going to take the time out of my busy day to record this or write this down. Look, this is me appreciating you, right? And I think that like helps to foster relationship between the dream spirits or the dream world and our conscious waking life. And, you know, we can take that a step further through making offerings or like going and performing the actions that are laid out for us through the dream interaction, right? And Sarah was mentioning, you know, dreaming of a person and reaching out to them, right? And just acknowledging like, hey, you were here, I saw you here, right? Like we had this interaction in the dream. And I think that like really helps to honor and strengthen the fabric of the dream and the way that the dream helps us to lay a path in our waking life, right? Because I don't think that like it is the dream life and then our waking life. I think these things are happening simultaneously, right? Perhaps layered one over the other, right? I think the dream is continuing even when we're awake, we're just not privy to it. And so finding ways of being able to honor that layering or that connection in our waking life, I think helps to foster a better environment in the dream life and a connection with that part of the self or the universe that we are interacting with.
Yeah, I think that this is something that's really important to the whole Dream Palace project, is that we let dreams, we listen to dreams to receive messages. I was talking to Leslie yesterday about this idea of in ancient times, and I think it's something useful for our modern times as well, where our glorification of the waking state has kind of come a bit of a cropper, and we need to re-engage with the dreaming state for divine inspiration, however you might perceive that. I think there are novel associations that can be made in dreams, so you do get these eureka and aha moments. And I don't think that dreaming necessarily applies just to an individual's life, but it can apply to a society. Peter Kingsley, in Wisdom of the Dark Places, talks about how he believes Parmenides and his kind of associates would, if they had to make an important social decision, would go and incubate for dreams in caves to listen to what the dreaming had to say about the next steps that they would take in terms of creating their ideal society. So I think that we can learn a lot from the dream state, and that the dream state has been neglected. We need to reappreciate it. And that's the aim of this project, is to try to get people dreaming with purpose, to see what comes up through the collective dream and to somehow incorporate that into our culture, because I think culture is bereft of dreaming, unfortunately.
Yeah, that makes me think about one of my favorite astrologers, this woman, Carolyn Casey, who wrote an excellent book, which is out of print, unfortunately, but it's called Making the Gods Work for You, and is a really kind of great astrological magic text. But in her section on Neptune, who is like really associated with the dream and kind of transpersonal realities, she talks about one of the signatures of Neptune is like, who is dreaming the dream, right? Like, are you are you are you like connected with your dreams, or are you allowing like the media or society or somebody else to be infiltrating your dreams or influencing your dreams, right? Because if we are not connected with our own dreams and living out our own dreams, then somebody else is dreaming for us, right?
That's a
So if
very
we
interesting idea.
Right. So, if we think about like the news and how that impacts our dreams, or like the media or Instagram, or, any of these sort of digital medias, and how much is consumed and the impact that that's having on our dream life and our fantasy life. Right. And I think one of the important things, especially if somebody is receiving a Neptune transit, right, or as Neptune is like hitting specific places in an individual chart, or like in the mundane astrology, is really thinking about like, what is my connection to the dream life and the fantasy life, and is that being kind of usurped by forces that are greater than me?
Interesting. Shall we move into our first induction, Jonah?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Okay, great. So for this, you might like to turn your videos off. We're going to do around 10 minutes. Jonah's going to do an induction, a quick hypnotic induction to kind of get you connecting with the sort of somatic world of your dreams.
Yeah. And so just taking a moment to allow yourselves to come into a comfortable place. You mean sitting or laying down, whatever feels right for you. And just taking a deep and cleansing breath. And just allowing yourself to arrive in this moment, whatever that looks like to you. And just meeting yourself wherever you're at. And just allowing yourself to rest into your chair, whatever relaxed position. Maybe noticing the support in the chair back, support of your feet on the ground. Even bringing your attention to the touch points, maybe your arms on your legs. Just noticing the support there. And taking a deep and relaxing breath. Just allowing ourselves to open to this moment in space and time. And allowing ourselves to open to the dream world. And perhaps we can take a moment to just invite in the dream, whatever that looks like to you. And just giving a little space for the dream world to be present. And perhaps this is a dream that you had last night, or a dream that has been with you for a while. Perhaps it is the first dream you can remember, or just a passing fragment that has stayed with you. And as we breathe into this dream and allow the dream to be present, I wonder if you can notice this dream is in the body, if it has a location or a sensation. Just allowing this dream to be present wherever it shows up for you, whatever form it chooses to take in this moment. And just feeling into the sensation of the dream. Perhaps there is a motion or a movement attached to this dream or this sensation. Something that the body is called to do, something the body would like to do. And then if that feels present for you, if it's something you would like to do, I invite you. Just move, shift, or adjust in any way that feels right. In any way the dream is asking you to. And this can be a movement from the dream, a movement inspired by the dream, or a movement that helps you to dream the dream forward into the conscious world. And just taking a moment to really tune in to where the dream might appear in the body and how the body is connected to the dream. And how this connection can help us to honor the dream and to move the dream forward to our conscious mind, into the world, and into our lives moving forward, helping to foster a deeper connection between us and the dream. And in a moment, but not quite yet, I'm going to invite us to return back to the room. But before we come out of this nice, relaxing trance, just checking in and seeing if there's anything else that the dream would like you to know. Anything else you can do to help honor this dream in your waking life. any other movements that you might like to make. And thanking the dream, and letting it know you appreciate its presence and the information that it had to share with you. I'm going to invite you to come back into an awareness of the present moment. Maybe stretching and bringing awareness back into your fingers and toes. And taking a deep breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes and just taking your time. And whenever you'd like, you can return back to the room. Welcome back, folks.
Thank you, Jonah. That was great. I actually had surprisingly strong movements pop right into my body. It was really good. And I loved what you were talking about with regards to acting upon or acting out the dream, because I had a dream a while ago that I connected with the dream pilgrimage to the Greek island of Tinos. And yesterday, when I was exploring Athens, there's this little incense shop that I really wanted to go into last time I was here, and I kind of didn't. And then yesterday I walked past it and I realized I missed it. And I was going to carry on walking, but then I felt really called to go into this particular incense shop. It felt like almost like an OCD kind of thing, like I've got to do this thing, I'm going to go and do it. So I went back and I went in there, and it's an amazing shop. They have all these incredible beeswax candles, amazing different types of incense, all these icons and these incense burners. I bought a whole bag full of stuff for €7. It's also incredibly cheap. And I was talking to the two women in there, and it turns out that the two women and all of the stuff in that shop comes from the island of Tinos as well. So that was really magical for me. I felt like this strong kind of pull to go there, and I felt like my dream was actualized in that little moment. So that was great. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And I'm curious if there's like any specific motion that you had an awareness of from that dream or that little meditation that you would like to share. And I don't want to put you on the spot.
There were three things, and it was quite interesting because, well, the first one that came to me immediately was rocking back and forth as if I was on a rocking chair. And when I did the exercise in personal mythology with Stanley Krippner, he did an exercise where you had to remember the first time you felt ecstasy in a dream. And I remembered my dreams and had lucid dreams from very young, but I had an ecstatic dream when I was about, I think I must have been about 9 or 10. And it was a very simple dream. I was completely lucid, and I was a black cat sitting on a rocking chair. And I had this ecstatic sensation of being fully present and beyond aware of myself in this cat body. Like I could feel the pads in my paws, and my whole body was like elated and excited. And I'd never thought about the sensation of rocking back and forth, but I suddenly had this awareness of being that black cat rocking back and forth on a rocking chair. And then the second one I had was the experience I had where a very recent dream that I had on the 14th of August, where I was pulled out of a procession line, and a woman put a veil over my head, and she tapped out a cross. She used both hands and she tapped out a cross shape. And I felt like, we were talking about it a little bit before we went live, that was something that I needed to act out on myself. And then the third one was I had an experience once when I was doing internet dating of going on an internet date to a shepherd's hut in the middle of the Brecon Beacons with a neuroscientist to do remote viewing experiments. And I halfway through the day when we were going on this big hike, and turns out he was kind of like Bear Grylls and could just live in a hole in the ground. I suddenly had this terror that I was in the middle of nowhere with a complete stranger and he might be completely mad. And in this moment, I had what I reckon was a sort of weird sort of fear of death experience. I just dropped to the floor, and I wasn't in any kind of immediate danger. It was just this weird, kind of like a panic attack, I guess. And I felt myself almost project out of my body. And I had a drink of water because he had one of those magic straws that you could drink out of a puddle. And I drank out of some water. And then I immediately felt I had this rush of adrenaline afterwards. And then I felt like I could have walked until 3 o'clock in the morning. I felt so energized and so awake. And then that night, I had a lucid out of body experience where I came out of my body, floated like a few feet above my body, and then drifted alongside my body. And the movement that sprang to my mind and I started enacting during your meditation was I was conscious of the fact that I was outside of my body, but I knew from like my dream research that your fingertips and your eyelids can make tiny micro movements when you're even during sleep paralysis. So I was doing these, I wasn't at all scared, but I was doing these tiny micro movements. And so I started to do those as well, like just tapping my fingertips to one another. And then in my out of body experience, when I had that experience in the Brecon Beacons, as I was making these tiny micro movements, I was creating kind of snowflakes of light in midair. So that came to mind as well.
Nice. And if it feels all right, can we just and if the folks at home want to try this too, can we like just make these like tiny micro movements with our fingers, right? And just like as a way of maybe like holding space for your dream, right, collectively, right? And just tuning into that somatic sensation. And how that might activate our own dream life and also help us to hold space for your dream, right? And that awareness. And I feel like this is one of the ways, right, in collective dreaming, right? Maybe we can begin choreographing dances with like, you know, your movements and my movements and somebody else's movements, right?
Like the OA.
Exactly.
Actually, that brings me on to this idea of, you know, people don't tend to think about it as being a somatic experience these days. But I think the fact that we have now moved from writing pen to paper, generally speaking, onto a keyboard has affected the way we engage with writing when we remember a dream, because quite often people will speak it into a phone now or type it out on their keypad. And I think there's something different sensorially about writing out a dream. Like there's something different about writing words on paper where you are actively engaging with the remembering process in a different way to when you're typing things out, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I have to admit, like, I'm very bad at recording my dreams, and I mostly like record them on my phone, and I don't go through the process of actually writing them out, where I think that the handwriting, there's an embodied process, right? Where I feel like information moves through my body in a very different way than it does when I'm speaking or when I'm typing.
Yeah. Linda, did you want to share something? Oh, you're muted at the moment.
Can I share my experience?
Please, please.
A couple of years ago, I have a habit of programming my dreams every night. I call in goddesses or gods or angels. And I pulled the magician card out of the tarot deck and I put it under my pillow and I said, I would like to have a magical dream. And in this dream, I all of a sudden projected to London. And I was in an open store where outside and inside. And all of a sudden, this magician put his magic wand over me and I felt something in my sleeve. So I pulled it out and it said angel lingerie on it. And it just was like, how did you do that type of thing? Well, I did some research afterwards and found out there's an angel lingerie shop in London, and that there's an angel stop and all that kind of stuff. And somebody took pictures for me. And when I did the meditation, it's like I became an angel. And the angel wings were sticking out of my back. And I just found that so, it was just like, wow.
Nice. I love that. And was there like a motion, physical motion
Just the
connected with that?
angel wings.
Right.
It's moving.
Right.
It's like the angels were with me in that dream. And it never occurred to me that it was the angels that were with me. I went on an outside search to find out where this angel lingerie shop is. And I asked friends to go with me. And they're like, go all the way to London to find a lingerie shop. And I never did go. So
next time I'm in London, Linda, I'll find it for you.
Somebody did find it for me.
Yeah, and I think that brings up a really great point, right? When maybe to enact what the dream is laying out is not possible, right? Or kind of not economically viable, right? What are other ways that we can honor that dream, right? And just that awareness of, oh, it was in me the whole time, right? The angels were with me the whole time, and they're present with me, right? And how to tune into that that awareness and kind of shift what the possibility or the message of the dream might be, or be open to the multiplicity of that.
It made me realize that after I dream during the day, I need to meditate with that dream to see what else comes out.
I love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary, you had a question?
I don't know. Is this a time that we can share an experience, or okay? So I just want to start off with, I have been over like the last year living in synchronicity, like to an extreme, and it's fun. It's always amazing. I always appreciate it, and I'm always bewildered every time it happens. So I want to just start off and say that I was jotting down some notes that Jonah was talking about, and I'm probably paraphrasing. He said, if we're not living out our dreams, then someone else is dreaming for us. And as I was writing it, huge deja vu, like I had already been here writing this out. So it's not a remembered dream that I can recall, but it was so wild. So I just kind of held on to that and thought, that's what I'll take into this induction, but I didn't. I've been having a lot of dreams recently about water and fish and dolphins, and actually shared that experience a couple of classes ago with Noah Zola. And so I was just allowing the water to flow over me and allowing the fish to sort of swim around me. And I recalled a video that I had just seen a day or two before about how off the coast of Dominica, a group of sperm whales came together, like from all over, to help a mother give birth to a baby whale, sperm whale. And then I looked it up, and it's a thing. And I didn't know it was a thing, that these sperm whale will come together. And they make a really interesting noise. It's a very different way of speaking than what we're used to hearing with whales. And as I was laying there in a deep, deep trance, my stomach started rumbling. And it was making the same noise as the sperm whales. And I was just kind of like, I don't know what to do with this. I'm not going to make anything of it. But it's just this really beautiful connection of, I'm not sure what, but definitely the exterior world was in my belly, a place of water. So I just wanted to share that. I'm not making anything of it. I'm just enjoying the moment.
Wow, thank you. That's so
Thank you.
beautiful. That's so beautiful that your body, right, was making the sound from your dream, right? And I think that
Yeah.
really speaks to that kind of unconscious connection in the ways that when we give it space and allow it to come through, kind of the unpredictable and ways that it shows up in ways that I wouldn't have imagined that, right?
Right. Me either. Thank you. It was fun.
Thank you.
I'm muted. Anyone else want to share their experience? Alex? Oh, you're muted.
I'm unmuted. Yeah, this was interesting for me because I haven't actually done this thing before of going back to the earliest dream that I can recall and specifically working with that. And it's a dream that was very intense because it was maybe a little bit before Christmas or a little bit before my birthday when I was about 5 years old, and I found this train set underneath a chair, a real chair that was in the house. And I went in the dream, I went downstairs into the kitchen, there's the chair, I looked under it, and wow. And, you know, it was this, and I just knew it was there. So I got up in the morning and went down. And of course, I was disappointed because there wasn't such a thing. And I was so convinced in the dream that this train set was there. And I can, I won't go into all the details of the family stuff as to why I dreamed that. And I've got a whole lot, I know what that's all about, and it's all my, you know, my own family pathology, etc., etc. But what I did in the exercise was sort of reach down and held these little treasures that were the, you know, the little carriages and whatnot of the train set, and felt the kind of power that these have over a little boy's psyche, these little treasures. Wow. And it's something, and it was quite interesting because then after a little while, I just brought it towards me and just kind of, I can show you my arms, it was sort of held the energy, and it actually became...
Comme tu le sens, hein?
It became... yeah, sorry, I got confused. Yeah, that it became kind of identified with the good feeling of having food in my belly.
Mm.
And then I kind of tuned in to that whatever this it was exactly the same as you said with the angel wings, that what was previously outside of me, what in the dream was outside of me, this goodness and this treasure that I wasn't really getting when I was a child. Then maybe in my life I substituted for eating at some point. And now I don't need to do that anymore because I've seen it and I've felt it, what it is, and related it with that good feeling of having food in the belly.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing, Alex.
Mm.
And I love also this as a symbol for like, oh, I have this goodness, right? And that can be anything, right? Food in the belly, or
yeah,
right?
It's very much, I mean, I didn't stand up before, it's sort of belly level rather than up here. It's kind of, you know, here. Yeah. And also almost like I'm kind of cradling a cat or something like that. It's got that cradling aspect to it, but it's goodness. And it, yeah.
Yeah, and I love that sort of somatic memory, right? That can be held by just holding the self, right? And maybe in times of like feeling lack or activated by family dynamics or whatever, right? Work-life balance, whatever the multiplicity of things that can activate us are, to come back to that sense of like, oh, this is the feeling of goodness, and that I have this like goodness and sustenance, right? And having that kind of somatic marker, right, of like, oh, this is what it feels like to feel good, and to remind the self, right, because that knowledge is encoded in the body, and it becomes awakened through dreaming, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I loved that, Alex. I mean, the way you put it very simply as well, this idea of the visual world that you find yourself surrounded by when you're in a dream is you turned inside out, in a way, is the inside elements of yourself. And in Gestalt dream theory, of course, you like look at all the various elements of the dream being an aspect of yourself. And a lot of children have those wish fulfillment dreams. And that's how I started having lucid dreams, really, is because, you know, I never really thought about it as being like a lack of love in the family home, but there definitely was, I didn't have that experience of that love, that kind of, that fully embracing sense of love that you should receive from your family, really. And so my wish fulfillment dreams would be like exciting Christmas presents, or like snogging the boy I fancied in school. And I didn't really think about that as being outside of me. So you made me also think about that as well. It's really interesting, Alex. Thank you.
Yeah.
One thing, Linda, I wanted to mention today, I just met with someone who's involved with the Dream Palace project in Athens. And weirdly enough, he told me about a dream he had after we told him he was going to be on the bill for Dream Palace, that somebody handed him a magic wand. And the magic wand, you mentioned the magic wand in your dream, the magic wand came through a nebula, a cosmic body called the Flower Nebula, and it appeared out of this flower nebula as a gift for him. So I loved that. And I think things like that, one of the exercises I get people to do when they come in my dream workshops is to think about your day as being a dream. Like, how would you interpret your day if your day had been a dream? So you mentioning the magic wand and the fact that it was a kind of cosmic magic wand made me question whether or not this actually might be a dream now, because weirdly the same very specific dream objects are somehow emerging. So there's this sort of magical alchemy in the day that we can see. And very often I have these experiences in reality, because I do talk about dreams and think about dreams so much, where I'm called to question, can I be totally sure that we're not just in a dream now? And I think there's something in that about, someone mentioned remembering, and the experience, the sort of physical sensation of trying to remember something can be really helpful in terms of inducing dreams. And one of the techniques, I think I've probably mentioned it to you a lot before, that I use to get lucid dreams is playing Scrabble, because there's something about having a kind of precognition of the word that you're going to spell out before you've consciously worked it out, that engages this sense of remembering, like thinking about remembering as being a sense. And I think one other thing that this has brought up for me, which I think is fascinating, and it's something that I'm always trying to get people to think about, is why children have such vivid dreams all the time. And I think that's because they engage in play, and it's well known that children learn a lot better through play rather than instruction. And obviously play is embodied, somatic, it's all these things we're talking about, and that helps them to more vividly create their imaginary worlds. Jennifer.
Hi, thank you. I'm enjoying this so much. Sarah, just everything you're saying is resonating so much with me, especially when the practice of saying out loud, this is a dream. I'm actually in a Tibetan dream yoga class right now. And that's one of the first principles we start with, is we just 15 times a day. So we say, this is a dream. And I think this class the course is influencing me a lot, because I just wanted to quickly share a dream. And I just sent it to Rinpoche to see if there was a corresponding god or deity in the Tibetan tradition. But I'm wondering, since you're a Greek and Egyptian expert, if you might identify who this character is. So in this dream, I was almost in a mandala. I was in a quad, which was a healing center, where I was supposed to be working with this gentleman who had an exposed phallus. So he had a shirt on, but no pants, and he had a giant phallus exposed. And I was very intimidated. I asked two women, what do I do? I don't really want to work with him. We need to say something. And they just kind of dismissed my concerns. So I got on an electric bike and I started riding around the campus, which was my old college campus, and I didn't recognize it, so I didn't know where I was going, but it was really ornate. It almost looked like a DMT experience where you're traveling through these worlds, but it was like the concrete 3D version of it. So I was traveling around this kind of amazing ornate world, and I kept trying to ask, like, how do I get back to the quad? How do I get back to the quad? So I knew I had to get back, even though because my battery was running low on my bike. But anyway, I looked up this god and see if there was a corresponding god. It said, I asked ChatGPT, and it said Priapus, a minor god of fertility in ancient Greek mythology.
Priapus is one, but Bez is an ancient Egyptian demon associated with protecting sleepers and dreamers. And he always has a massive phallus. And that massive phallus is supposed to scare off any demons that come to you in the middle of the night. Priapus is a Greek god, yeah, not associated with dreams, although, as who was mentioning it earlier? Oh, Eric Wargo was talking I had a chat with Eric Wargo about dreams a little while ago, who's going to be doing a session on the course for us, and he was talking about the fact that REM sleep is associated very strongly with erections, and this is something that ancient cultures weren't shy about demonstrating. So you often see like images of gods lying down with erections, which may suggest that they're incubating for dreams.
Interesting. Could you spell the name of this god, please?
Bez. I mean, as soon as you said it, I was like, that is Bez.
Awesome. Bez, B-E-Z.
Hang on, where's my a meeting group chat. Bez. He's the god of the island of Ibiza. And he's a Greco-Roman god. Have you had anything to do with Ibiza recently?
I was supposed to go last November, but I had to cancel my trip. I was in Barcelona. So, and I have this kind of standing coupon to go back, and I keep thinking I need to go back. So
maybe Bez is calling you back to Ibiza.
Yeah. Oh, darn.
Yes. So Bez is, did you come to Kasha's one? Did you come to Kasha's talk? Kasha and Sophia both talked about Bez.
Okay, thanks. I'll check it out. Kasha, K-A-S-H-A?
K-A-S-I-A.
Okay, Kasha.
And Sophia also talked about Bez as well.
Okay, cool. I didn't go to that, but I will look in the archive.
Yeah, so he is a kind of benevolent daemon associated with protecting sleeping people.
Huh.
And his massive phallus is apotropaic, so it's a massive phallus to scare things away because it's so gigantic and terrifying.
Well, in this case, I was like, no, I'm not working with this guy.
What did he look like other than that? What was his
Caucasian? He was Caucasian. He had kind of like medium long hair, almost like a page boy cut, and he was white, and he was wearing just a shirt, and he had a phallus. So I mean, he was definitely white.
Sounds so like Bez, because he's a Joker, cool. And also that kind of page boy haircut. Sometimes he has a sort of lion's mane and lion's ears, and he has a sort of gargoyle-ish face.
So in the dream, if I were to go back, should I go back and say hi and thank you for protecting me? I'm wondering if I need to go and hang and find my way back to the quad, the center.
Perhaps make an offering to Bez.
Okay. What is he like?
What is he like?
For an offering.
Question. What does Bez like?
Maybe does he like meat or like honey? Kind of like, a lot of the gods.
Honey. Yeah. Honey, milk and honey. Honey. Yeah. You have Bez jugs, and they would often contain milk. So I think that might make a good offering.
Wow. Yeah, I had no idea that you guys had already talked about this. This is my first lecture I've been able to join. So thanks. Glad I'm in sync with you all. That's cool.
I think these are the sorts of things that do help dreams emerge and help collective dream themes emerge as well, because I feel almost like when you're telling me about your dreams that it's a detective story. It's like clues that I want to work out. That's why I've always been so interested in communicating dreams and hearing about other people's dreams, because I really do think that they contain secrets. And like you were saying, Jonah, that you're less interested in this dream astrology for the sake of prophecy and identifying a thing that's gonna definitely happen, and more how it reveals the truth. And we've spoken before about this ancient perception of prophecy isn't just the way we see it in terms of predicting the future. It's about revealing reality, revealing the various things at play in any given situation.
Two things I just want to say real quick. I interviewed Siddhartha Ribeiro for my podcast on this very topic, and his book, Oracle of the Night, goes into collective dreaming, survival, evolution of dreaming, and he refers a lot to the Hevantes tribe of the Amazon, who have actually done that. They do collective dreaming to kind of chart their future and actually successfully navigate colonialism by integrating with the larger society. So we are on point on that topic.
Great.
Wow,
Anyone else want to share anything? Jonah, maybe would be a good time for you to talk about the dream astrology.
Yeah, and I'll sort of talk about this briefly because I don't want to I don't know, talking about astrology, I don't know what everybody's level is, but I can and I don't want to like bore people because astrology often gets very technical. But I have been looking into this astrological method of interpreting dreams, which comes from Guido Bonatti, who is a 13th century astrologer. And his kind of formula was encapsulated by Demetria George, who presented it at, I think, Norwalk in 2017 in an excellent talk called Gates of Horn, Gates of Bone, which is a talk on the ninth house, which turns out is where astrology, where you look to see if a dream is true, because the ninth house is the house of prophecy and dreams, as well as long distance travel and higher education. But the ninth house is a prophetic place. And so both Bonatti and then Demetria George lay out a formula for interpreting a dream. And can I share my screen? And maybe I can pull up the chart briefly. All right. So this, can everyone see this, or somebody nod if you can, or shake your head if you can't? Okay, cool. Okay. So this is a dream that was shared with me by an individual. And I'll just take you through this. This is the chart of the dream itself, which is on September 6th at 8:38 a.m. In Nevada City, California. And so when we're doing this technique, we are taking the birth chart for the dream. And we're thinking of the dream as an independent entity. And this can either be for the moment that, and this is a horary form of astrology, which is answering questions. And so it's when the dream is remembered, right? So it's like when you record it or write it down, or like at noon over lunch, you're like, oh my God, I had this dream about X, Y, and Z. That's the moment that you write down and we calculate the birth chart for. Or the moment that you share it with the astrologer is also a time that we can use for the horary. And so basically we're looking at the ninth house and planets in the ninth house as the signifier of the dream. And so in this dream, we have the moon in the ninth house. And then according to Bonatti, the moon signifies sailors, sea, swimming, mothers or other women. And this dream was about this person swimming with their mother in the ocean. And so immediately we were both like, okay, there's something here, right? And so we're also looking at the house that the moon rules. So the moon is the ruler of Cancer, and so it is ruling the 10th house, and the 10th house also has to do with mothers, right? So like immediately we're getting this kind of like double signature of like this dream has a lot to do with the mother, right? And maybe like perception like the 10th house deals with reputation, career, external perceptions of us. So maybe like this has to do with how the mother perceives this individual, right? So another like part of this delineation is that the 9th house ruler, Gemini, right? Because Gemini is on the cusp of the 9th house, is ruled by Mercury, who is in Cazimi with the sun, which means that they are conjunct at that moment, which is like a pretty powerful astrological moment. And Mercury as the messenger is sort of transmitting information from the conscious body or the sun, right? So in like the Cazimi moment, there can be like flashes of information that were not previously available. Especially in the 12th house, which is the house of unseen things or the unknowable. And so basically like what happens in this dream is this person is swimming with their mother, and they feel like their perception has shifted to the perception of their mother, and then the perception of their aunt. And they feel like they're actually like living in their mother's shoes and in their aunt's shoes. And so they get this like deep insight into these two women's lives and their understandings. And the 12th house here is being ruled by Virgo, which has a lot to do with stewardship and lineage, right? So how we are stewarding our lineage, right? And another theme that kind of emerges from the dream is that the dreamer, the querent in this situation, like is sort of connecting with their mother and had previously had a dream from their grandmother where they received this information from their grandmother who has passed on. And their question as we like went through this dream interpretation was, should I share this dream with my mother? Right? Because their question sort of unfolded into, I'm really afraid of having my mom see my authentic self. And like, I had this dream with this information that my mom like would really help my mom, but I'm afraid to share it with her. And through this kind of delineation, seeing the ruler of the dream, the moon, in a supportive aspect with Venus, who is the ruler of the ascendant, the sort of conclusion is it is beneficial to share this with the mother, right? This information helps you to be in a lineage with your mother. This reveals hidden information that can really benefit the mother. And there is going to be great benefit to like either your mother, your relationship with your mother's perception of you, or like who knows how or why your career, because the moon is ruling the 10th house, which all of this was like pretty helpful for this individual in deciding like how to proceed from this dream. So that is like a very brief kind of overview of how we can interpret a dream through an astrological chart. I will also say that I have not done a ton of research on this, and I would like to do more case studies. So if any of you all have dreams that you would like to kind of process through an astrological model, I can put my email in the chat, and just make sure that you write down the time, date, and location of the dream whenever you recall it. And I can draw a chart for you, and we can kind of like process this in an astrological model. I hope that wasn't like totally over everybody's head and you didn't just like tune out.
That's great. I love that. I like we were talking about this idea of the dreamer's axis mundi, and there's something about looking at the celestial aspects. Like in the ancient world, dream oracles were lumped in with celestial omina because they're both things that occur during the nighttime. And there's something about the gods having greater influence upon people through dreams, because obviously at nighttime the stars and planets are visible, and so therefore they can exert more power over people. So I love this idea, and there's something about taking that snapshot, like you say, regarding a dream as its own separate entity and giving it personality and form. There's I don't know if any of you have read The Tin Drum by Gunter Grass. Have you heard of that book? It's a fantastic book. I love it. It was also made into a very good weird film. But when I was looking at how he wrote that book, he wrote the book by giving an astrological chart, a natal chart, to every single character in the book, and therefore he constructed their personalities and their stories and mythologies and the way their life unfolded based upon how you would interpret that natal chart. It's a really interesting technique, I always thought.
That is fascinating. What a great way of developing characters.
Yeah, and also so sort of easy in a way. It's like you've got a character right off the bat because you can't help but look at all these different aspects of it. It's such an interesting device. I've never ever seen anybody else use it.
Brilliant. Yeah, does anyone have any questions about this, what I just shared?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Yes, I just close my door. Okay. Thank you for sharing that chart. I like astrology. I teach karmic astrology for people just to have the, the north knot. I don't know how to say in English. North knot and south knot. Yes. And just today I did one with a friend. I didn't understand very well how you do that dream interpretation. How you do that? You take a natal chart.
So this is a chart for the time of the dream. It's not
okay.
It's not the native's birth chart.
Okay.
And then you're looking towards the ninth house. So you're looking at what's important is any planets in the ninth house. If there are no planets in the ninth, then you're looking towards angular houses, the 10th, 1st, 7th, and 4th.
Ninth, what do you call by ninth house? What do you mean?
Oh, so ninth, what's ninth in French? Anybody?
No, I mean, I thought you were talking about the ninth house.
Oh, no.
9.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. I forget that that this is an international situation. So we're looking at the ninth house as the house of divination and oracles, right? So that is the signifier of the planets in that are the signifier of the dream. So that's helping us decode what's this dream about? Where is this coming from? And an example that Bonatti gives is Saturn in the ninth house, which is like fear, right? So it's like, okay, where is this fear coming from? So you're looking at like where Capricorn and Aquarius are. If it's like Capricorn is the first house, the fear is coming from the individual. If it's the second house, a Saturn ruled sign is in the second house, okay, it's coming from finances or resources, right? So this is a way that we can delineate like what's happening in this dream and where is it coming from, right? And then I think that we can also reverse engineer, right? So if you're like having a dream about a fight, right, that's a Mars theme. So we can then maybe like pull a chart for the dream and be like, okay, where is Mars at, right? So I think that there's ways of kind of reverse engineering this as well, depending on what the theme of the dream is. Does that make sense?
Yes, you have a rainbow in your eyes when I don't know if it's only on my yes, I thought it was the dream house could be much more the 8th house, because 8th house is about invisible worlds. Right. So
right.
Why you say why you said it's rather the 9th house rather than the 8th house? Because
right, that is an excellent question. And initially, like I would think the 12th, because that's also like the kind of, right, the place between waking and dreaming. But and this is according to kind of Renaissance astrology, which comes out of Persian, and then a mixture of Hellenistic. So this is like kind of ancient astrological technique. And one of the traditional meanings of the ninth house is oracles, divination, and prophecy. And so it's also associated with dreams.
Okay.
And so
okay.
for the ancients, like a house like the eighth house is more associated with death and loss, and the ninth house is more associated with prophecy and dream. And so
okay.
And, you know, one of my interests is sort of like, how do we, right? Again, this is a technique that is trying to decipher, is this dream true, right? So it's like, oh, I had a dream that all my cattle died, right? I'm going to go to my astrologer and be like, is this true? And if it is, what can I do about it? Where in the kind of modern context, I'm less interested in figuring out, is this dream true? Although it might be important to like help you if like you're afraid that your cattle's going to die, and we can figure that out together. But I'm more interested in being like, okay, what are the themes of this dream, and what might this dream be trying to tell us, right? So one of the things that I'm trying to do is kind of update this, or maybe expand this into a more kind of modern consciousness that is taking it out of the 13th century.
Okay. Yes, I understand. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Christoph. So I think perhaps we might enter our second induction now, which I'm going to lead. And this is going to be a dream incubation thing, because we've explored a lot of personal mythology. We've explored the ideas of symbols and dream motifs. So we're going to do another induction. So turn your cameras off if you like, mute yourselves. And this is to really try to conjure up the dream symbol, the motif that we might work with this evening in dreams. I'm going to stop my video as well, so I don't have to look at my gormless face while I'm doing this. So get yourself into a comfortable position. You can lie down on your bed, lie down on the floor, sit in your chair. And just take a moment to let your body completely relax, taking in one deep breath through the nose, filling your lungs. And then as you breathe out, really sink into the support underneath your body. Just allow your body to completely relax, sinking into the surface of the bed, the floor, the chair. Just surrendering your body to the earth. Feel your muscles, your skeleton, your skin, your face, just soften and relax. And we're going to do a quick body scan to just make sure every area of your body is completely relaxed. And we're going to start at the crown of your head. I want you to imagine someone's pouring sparkling water onto the crown of your head, and I want you to feel the sensation of sparkling water against your scalp, the tiny bubbles popping next to the roots of your hair, and feel this sensation, this kind of effervescence on your scalp, spread all over the top of your head to your forehead. Feel your ears relaxing. Just release any tension that you hold in your forehead, your brow. It's really relaxing. Your eyebrows, releasing any tension around your left eye. Really sinking into the micro muscles and tendons in your face, in your scalp, allowing all of the little micro muscles around your left eye socket to just completely relax and soften. Moving your attention to your right eye, allowing your eyes to sink deeply back into the sockets, rolling back and down, just completely relaxed. And then feel the micro muscles around your right eye just really soften and release. Moving your awareness down your nose, from your left cheekbone to your right cheekbone. And become aware now of breathing, of air entering your nostrils, the sensation of coolness as air enters your nose, breathing deeply and calmly. And as you breathe out, notice the difference in the temperature between the air you're inhaling, cool, fresh, and the air you're exhaling. And as you exhale, release any stale energy, any stress, tension, just melting out of your body. Move your awareness now to your jaw, really softening your jaw. We often hold a lot of tension in our jaw, but just feel that easing away, really relaxing, just completely softening your jaw. Imagine your jaw like melting wax, just softening. Move your awareness to your top lip, your lower lip, to the tip of your tongue, all the way down to the root of your tongue, feeling every single taste bud on the surface of your tongue, allowing your mouth to salivate, produce saliva, feeling the connection between your desire and your body, your ideas, your thoughts manifesting instantly into bodily action. Feel your throat, your neck soften, your muscles release at the back of your neck. Become very, very sensitive to a spot at the nape of your neck. Imagine a kind of coin-shaped spot just at the back of your neck, underneath your hairline. Become sensitive to drawing energy from the universe, from the world, into this space, drawing energy into the nape of your neck and sending this energy down through your spine. Send your awareness to your chest, to the right side of your chest, to your right shoulder joint. Feel it soften and relax the muscles and bones, melting into the floor or chair. Your upper arm, elbow, forearm, wrist, the back of your hand, palm of your hand, all 5 fingers, beginning with your thumb on your right side, counting down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, moving from fingertip to fingertip to fingertip to fingertip to fingertip. And then shift your awareness to the left side of your body, the left side of your chest, the left shoulder joint, shoulder blade, left upper arm, left elbow, left forearm, left wrist, the back of your left hand, the palm of your left hand, moving from fingertip to fingertip, counting down from your thumb, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And moving across your solar plexus, softening, expanding your heart, remembering the ancient Egyptian idea of opening and expanding the heart when you experience love, bliss, and ecstasy. Engage with this sensation so that you might remember it this evening in your dreams. And feel a great light and warmth emanating from your heart center, spreading out through your ribs, passing through your vagus nerve, traveling the length of your spine, connecting head, heart, stomach, and root. And feel this peace and serenity wash through your pelvic bowl, moving from your left hip to your right hip, bringing your awareness to your right thigh, top and the back, the kneecap, the back of the knee, the shin and the calf muscle, the right ankle, top of your right foot, sole of your right foot, the heel of your right foot, and all 5 toes, beginning with your big toe on the right side, moving from toe tip to toe tip to toe tip to toe tip to toe tip. And then move your attention to the left side, the left hip, feeling the hip joint soften and relax, sinking into the ground beneath you. Moving your awareness to the top of your left thigh, back of your left thigh, left kneecap, behind the left knee, left shin bone, left calf muscle, left ankle, top of your left foot, sole of your left foot, heel of your left foot, tip of each toe, beginning with your big toe on your left side, moving from toe tip to toe tip to toe tip to toe tip to toe tip. And just allowing your body to now appreciate this extra deep level of relaxation you're in, feeling completely serene, the perfect relaxed condition to seed an auspicious, healing, oracular dream. And I want you to bring your awareness now to the space in between your eyebrows and try to imagine a swirling vortex of stars, of smoke, of water emerging where your third eye could be. And I want you to look and peer into this vortex, into this portal, leading you into your subconscious mind, into the depths of your own personal underworld where the gods and our ancestors dwell. Imagine yourself moving forward through this space, allowing the water or the stars or the smoke to wash over your body, purifying your body as you enter this subzone. And I want you to connect this point between your eyebrows with a point in the very center of your chest. Your heart center, I want you to imagine similarly swirling, opening portal, this time like the flower nebula, opening from a tight bud and blossoming into a beautiful, beautiful pink flower, every petal revealing more fragrance and beauty and increasing your sense of ecstasy and pleasure. And then I want you to imagine this swirling portal between your eyebrows, watery portal, vortex, or a cosmic maelstrom. I want you to imagine emerging from the cosmos or the water, a wand. Imagine yourself pulling this wand out from this cosmic portal that connects you with your own personal underworld, with your own personal otherworld, with the celestial realm, and with the deepest levels of yourself and the collective. And try to really graphically, clearly, precisely visualize this wand. Imagine the texture, the feel, the shine, the color, the weight of this wand in your hand. I want you to feel the weight of this wand in your hand and become aware once again of this blossoming flower moving gently around as each petal is unfurled, revealing more and more beauty and warmth and light throughout your body. And see if you can smell the fragrance of this beautiful flower, the sweet, exotic perfume of as this flower blossoms in your heart space. And seeing through this space, through this portal between your eyebrows, I want you to be aware of holding this wand and peering into the space in front of you. And now I want you to tap the portal with your wand and become aware of what image emerges from you, which symbol, which sign. Maybe from a previous dream, maybe a theme throughout your waking life. A simple image emerges now, and I want you to spend some time really appreciating and enjoying the revelation of this image. And consider how you interpret this image, how this image, this symbol, this motif speaks to you. And when you return from this journey into your own imagination, I want you to illustrate, to draw and sketch out the image that has appeared to you. And then try to connect, reconnect, and remember and revisualize this image as you're falling asleep. And think what this image may be trying to communicate to you. Think of your dream this evening as an opportunity to discover, to continue working out the clues. There's something of a transactional nature to dreams, as we were talking about. And I think people very often don't think about making an offering to the dream. So think of your symbol, your image, as an offering, as something you can return to the dream world. And in your returning this object, this symbol, this motif to the dream world, you may change or transform the dream in some way. Very often, these things can act as agents of transformation from within the dream. So hold on to this image in your mind's eye. Commit this image to your conscious memory and promise yourself now that when you dream this evening, you will remember to reconnect with this image and find out what this image is attempting to communicate. And then feel your body once again in the chair or lying down. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, feel your body occupying this particular time and space. Become sensitive to the sounds and smells and sensations that are present in your waking reality. Allow yourself to make some tiny micro movements, perhaps returning to your dream movement, embodying the movement that spoke to you through our earlier trance. Move your tongue in your mouth, your fingertips and toes. Allow your breathing to return to a normal rhythm. And when you're ready, open your eyes and return to the room, to the Zoom. Or if you feel like you're in a really good state and you've done a deep incubation for your dream, you can go immediately into your dream. No need to say goodbye, no need to be polite. You can do whatever you feel, whatever feels natural for you in this moment. Thank you, everyone. So if from that practice, there's any particular symbol or image that popped up into your head, I think it's really useful to draw that down or make any notes of anything and think about it as being something that you can take into the dream that you have this evening. So you could even write a letter to the dream. You know, Jonah was talking about with his dream astrology, considering drawing up a chart for a dream as if it is this entity with its own volition. So you could think about taking your dream a letter this evening, writing your dream a letter, or sending this symbol. Dreams communicate through the language of symbols. So you could take this symbol as a letter into your dream. And it may be a very enigmatic symbol. It may just be the solar symbol or a cross or something very, very simple, but perhaps there's something that can be unpacked or expanded upon when you have a dream this evening. Jennifer said, I got the Tibetan Om symbol in gold with pink radiating from it. Oh, that's very lovely, Jennifer.
That was really beautiful. Thank you. I'm a little like zoned out now.
Could have an afternoon nap, I suppose. What time is it where you are, Jonah?
12:38.
Yeah, good time for an afternoon nap.
But can I share what I saw in that? I had a couple weeks ago, I had this dream of a giant snake that was I was like in a basement, and this snake, like massive snake, appeared, and I felt threatened by it, and I ended up cutting off its rattle, because I thought that the rattle was going to strike me, sort of like a scorpion tail. And so I cut it off, and the snake disappeared. And then I felt a lot of shame for like harming this snake. And so in this, and this has been sort of like sitting with me for a while, and in this incubation, or this hypnosis, I had the image of a snake. And so I think that this is a great way of reconnecting with that, and maybe figuring out what that dream was about, or like being able to reconnect with that dream, and also maybe make amends if I like responded from a place of fear and kind of transgressed, because I know that in kind of preparation for all of this, we were talking a lot about Asclepius, who is connected with the images and symbols of snakes, and so
his snakes live in the basement with him. So in the Themeli and Epidavros, the snakes were living in this kind of writhing basement realm where the god Asclepius was thought to dwell, because he's an underworld deity. And so in order to be healed by him, you had to go into the underworld and probably face your fear of being in a writhing pit full of snakes to have your healing moment. And I think there's something about that in dreams. Very often we become lucid in dreams because we're scared. Lots of children learn how to practice lucid dreaming because they have nightmares, and they learn to overcome the fear in the dream, and then that's what leads to lucid episodes. And I guess you could say the same is true of life, that you don't start living until you conquer your fears and you face your fears. And it's amazing that you bring up, because two had a dream not that long ago, and there was a sound associated with the snake as well, but this snake was screaming, and there was something in the dream for me where I was conscious that this massive snake did represent Asclepius, but he was so powerful and so terrifying that I wasn't prepared in that moment to experience whatever it was he was going to give me in the dream. And I became scared, and the snake then started screaming really loudly, and the noise was horrendous, and that woke me up. And it's interesting that you wanted to get rid of the rattle, because the rattle obviously isn't the venomous, dangerous part of the snake. And traditionally in a lot of ancient magical ritual practices, the rattle is used to ward off demonic entities or evil spirits or whatever. It's sent to sort of scare things off. So it's interesting that you interpreted the rattle as being a threat, like it was alerting you to the snake's presence. I love that. Thank you, Jonah.
Thank you.
Yes, Linda.
I'm going to show you a picture because I'm really not sure what this is, but it's either it might be a cloud. It's a cloud with somebody like me coming out of it. And then I thought it could be a cocoon, and I've been in my cocoon for so long.
Well, clouds to me, they're like the realms of angels, aren't they? I always think of angels when I think of clouds. And actually, I had a beautiful flight on the way to Athens where I had this real appreciation of the clouds and the colors of sunset. It was such a gorgeous flight. The color of the sea was perfectly still. The clouds were all sort of pink and heavenly looking. And I really had this appreciation for how ancient people may have viewed the clouds as being the heavenly realms, just because they actually look so heavenly and beautiful. So it's interesting that you had the cloud dream, because I tend to associate angels with living in the clouds. Do you?
Maybe that was an angel. I don't know. Something coming out.
Something emerging.
Emerging.
Yeah. I guess some other way of thinking about clouds is that they're vaporous, that they're intangible, and they are very thin and etheric. And then you have something real and material merging out of something vaporous and immaterial.
Yeah, that makes me think about like imagery in the tarot cards, because there's a number of cards like the Aces and the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, as well as like the Four of Cups, where there's like things, you know, hands emerging out of the clouds to present something, right? And, you know, it's in that kind of symbology. It's like something arising from the ephemeral and the ethereal and being presented in the physical realm, right? Whether it's one of the suits from the Aces, or in the Four of Cups, it's, you know, thought to be like a new emotional possibility, right?
Erin?
I just want to share my picture because it's kind of similar in a weird way. It's actually like, I felt like it was more of spawn. And I don't know what it means, but I did have a frog in my kitchen this week, so it might be linked.
I thought it was a fried egg at first, Erin.
No, it was definitely, I definitely saw this like black, really black, like void with the kind of nucleus around it. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought I'd share it because it looked kind of similar to yours.
Yeah, thank you. Alex?
This is my one.
Oh, something similar.
It's like it's the earth, which I have this felt model of that I use like as a talking object in groups. But this one, whether I liked it or not, then the spider appeared, like a large spider appeared on the surface of something like this. And so that's very interesting. And to me, the spider, it connects with the web, like in and the Aztecs had various levels of dreaming, and one of the higher levels is this web. Yeah, like a spider's web, wherein one can directly communicate in the dreaming space with others, or whatever one needs to do. So it's something about accessing the collective levels of dreaming. And it's about networking as well. So let's see what I dream.
Yeah, that's interesting to me. When I was little, I remember I used to philosophize a lot about the meaning of reality and try to work out, especially because I had such interesting dreams and they seemed to give me this this sort of overview effect to some extent. And I remember drawing a picture of a spider's web, and I had this idea that reality is somewhat like a spider's web, especially one that's dressed in dewdrops, because we are all interconnected, although it doesn't feel like it. We're all those individual dewdrops on the spider's web. But as well as containing a kind of individual essence, we're reflecting everything in the entire cosmos, and that web is connecting everyone. And if, you know, something lands on another part of the web, those trembles eventually work their way to our dewdrop somehow. And I remember going to an outsider art exhibition at what gallery was it? Maybe the Hayward Gallery in London. Really excellent exhibition. And one of the artists they had, someone who'd been sectioned, was criminally insane. I can't remember whether they were in Bedlam, but they were in some mental health institute. A German outsider artist had drawn a little sketch of a spider's web on the corner of his painting and written something very similar to like how life is like a spider's web and we're all interconnected, we're all into it. And I had this, that was another moment where I was like, whoa, is this a dream? Because I've definitely like done that exact same thing. So that was great. Thank you, Alex. I love that. So I think, I mean, maybe it would be a good time to wrap up now. I think that we've had quite a long session. We've got lots of material to dream with. I would definitely say, have you got any recommendations for what people might do tonight in order to have a good dream, Jonah? Is it an auspicious time to dream tonight? We don't know, do we?
I haven't had time to look at the chart, and also the locations are going to be different for all of us, right? But I think every night's an auspicious night to dream. But, you know, I think that just if you want to take some time before bed and just recall maybe this session, the inductions that we've done, the imagery, and just acknowledging the image that came to you and maybe making a little space for that to be with you as you enter into the dream world and the sleep world. I think, you know, that's a really good way of showing up for what the unconscious or, you know, the dream world is presenting to us, and just acknowledging that we're willing to accept that and be with it. You know?
Brilliant, thank you. One of the things we talked about making an offering to Bez, but I think also with your dream symbol, one thing you could do is if you put your image next to your bedside and you have a glass of water, you could perhaps place your glass of water over that image, so you somehow kind of absorb that image. It's very much a thing of magical thinking in the ancient world, that images can absorb, or substances rather, especially liquids, can absorb images and writing. So if you were to place your glass of water over the top of your image, you can absorb, you'll be able to see that image through the water, so that water is then impregnated with that image, and then you drink that before bed. And I think sometimes having these kind of sacraments can be really useful, because the effect is you have done something physical that's going to enact transformation later on in the dream. One of the things I'm really interested in dreaming, actually, and it's sometimes quite a good task to set for yourself before you go to sleep, is think about eating or drinking something in the dream world. And quite often I find that when you eat or drink something in the dream world, that acts as an agent of transformation in the dream itself, so that your consciousness actually changes, because your mind and body expect something to happen when you drink or eat. When you drink or eat in the dream world, very interesting things can happen sometimes.
Ooh, very Alice in Wonderland.
I know. Well, I think that is part of the reason, because Alice in Wonderland was one of my favorite stories when I was a kid. And I think this is how stories and narratives and mythology and aesthetics start to reveal themselves in dreams, that whatever you're into, like you were saying, a really fantastic point about if you're not dreaming your own dreams, you're letting someone else kind of dream them for you. And obviously we are so subservient to culture these days. And I think that it's very important to choose what culture you let into your body. Think about the visual imagery and the stories and the narratives that you let in, because those things ultimately are like dream food, and they become the kinds of landscapes that you dream yourselves into. It's why I'm very, not enthusiastic about the way Netflix program non-stop documentaries about all kinds of terrible things, when perhaps we should have a channel for dreaming where it's just all positive, amazing, high vibe things that you can work into your dreams somehow. I mean, maybe not high vibe. I think The Holy Mountain is an amazing film to watch before you go to sleep, because it's so archetypal and it's so graphic. And you can't say it's like good or nice, but it's so potent and visually arresting and colorful. These images burn into your consciousness. And so when you dream, because the whole story is this archetypal journey through the major arcana, you can't help but go on that quest in your dream afterwards, because it gives you all the ingredients. Jodorowsky talks about psychomagic and psychomagic art and how art can work in this way. So I definitely recommend something like that.
Right. And just on that note, not to drag this out longer, but you know, one of the things that I really appreciate about Hodorowski and psychomagic, right, is bringing something from the unconscious into the consciousness, right? And he talks about the symbol is the language of the unconscious, right? And so being able to, as we're, you know, taking this image from the unconscious and incubating it and putting it into our dream, right, as we wake up tomorrow or recall our dream, how can we take something from that realm and bring it into this realm, right? Whether that's like writing it down, drawing a picture, performing an action, going to the place of the dream, right? And just asking what the dream is looking for us to do, and how can we respond to that by bringing a piece of the dream world into our world, right?
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's a great intention for you. Erin, did you want to say something?
I just want to say, because like right now, my reality and my dream world are so kind of blurred together. I just wonder if you guys, like experts in this, it's like, it's not, I don't know if that's like something that I want to really be in, you know, like having kind of like not knowing. It's not knowing.
What, you mean not knowing whether you're awake or asleep?
It's not quite that. It's just more like life is so surreal and so bizarre that sometimes my dream world makes more sense. So then I'm like in this waking reality. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm trying to say, but it's just kind of like a merging of the two.
Well, I guess the thing with dream incubation is it's about dreaming with purpose. It's not about necessarily like giving or surrendering to the imaginal. It's about trying to make sense and making sense from within a dream of the dream. So it should be something that enhances your waking experience of the world rather than confuses it, I would say. Like setting yourself an intention. You know, what I would suggest is that you set an intention to find some good resolution for whatever is causing you distress in your waking life. Like use the dream, because the dream, the way we think in dreaming offers up these quite often very novel solutions to difficult, complex problems, because you're able to associate somehow so much more cross-referencing to such a greater degree whilst you're in the dream. So if before you go to sleep tonight, what I would say is write down the problem that you want to find the solution for, and ask the dream to provide that solution for you. And you know, if your dreams are really vivid and you have no problem dreaming, then I think that's something that's quite like, I think the dreams respond really well to questions and to intentions.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if I may as well, I think that kind of like merging, right, of the dream life and the waking life at times can be exciting and at times can be really scary, right? And I think that it's important. Objectivity, I think, is important, right? And being able to have it a sense of separation so that we can have some objectivity of this is what happened during my day, this is what happened in my dream, right? And where if it starts to blur too much, that can be kind of disconcerting. And so finding ways of just acknowledging like I am me and I am in this world, right? And like, I am me and I am in this world, right? It's maybe harder in the dream, like depending on how lucid you're able to be, but, you know, having objects as touchstones, right? And I use like, you know, stones that I like hold in my like waking life to remind me that I am here, I am in a body, I am having this experience, right? As separated from, you know, this is me in like imaginal realm or dream realm or magical space. And allowing myself to like know that I am here having this experience because I'm holding this thing, right? And this is what I do in this realm, right?
So you suggest keeping these different spaces separate? Yeah.
Yeah, if that's helpful, right? And I think that one of the things, right, is about like having the transitions, right? And like, for example, right, for most people, like going to sleep is challenging because we have terrible sleep hygiene, right? And people are like on their phones, like watching TV in bed, right? And like having like an acknowledgement of I'm going to bed and this is my like, you know, going to sleep routine where I'm like cutting out blue light and I'm like, you know, going through the ritual of going into the ceremony of dreaming, right? And in the reverse, right, coming into the ceremony of waking, where we are putting our feet down on the floor and saying, like, I'm entering into the ceremony of life today, right? And becoming like intentional about how we move through these liminal spaces and like claim our space either in the dream realm, in the sleep realm, or in the waking conscious life, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. I'll let you go and get to your dreaming. And I hope you have wonderful dreams. Erin, I hope you have wonderful life and waking experiences, obviously, all of you. And I look forward to seeing the next one, which there may be an interim one, but the next booked in slot is with the Danny Nemu, who's going to be taking us in and out of trance states to explore how we might seed our dreams by engaging with the hypnagogic state.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, for being here.